Okay, everybody, welcome into another episode. This is the Good Bit Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Joined by Tyler and Greg. They're with me again for the first time in ages this week. We're going to chat about some movies, we're going to chat about some TV, some happenings going on in our lives this week. And are we actually recording? Hang on a second. Yes, we are. Test. Testing 1, 2. Testing.
Check. Hey, yes.
Like in Step Brothers, where they're like, check. Just like screams into the mic. Happy birthday, Derek!
Prestige worldwide.
We put it on a bee, and it died.
That was on the other night. Step Brothers.
Security!
It's one of the ones you can always just put on and just leave on. You know what I mean? Just one of those movies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Security! Black leather gloves. So stupid.
It's so funny. All right, well, right before we started rolling there, we were chatting about theme parks. We're talking about Universal because Greg was there last year, right? That was last year you were there?
September, nearly a year.
Is that nearly a year? Wow. Well, I don't know if you've seen or saw, whatever the correct grammar is, but they're opening that new park in 2025, Universal Epic Universe. OMG.
Oh, yes, they
What is
are.
that?
Greg, please tell us about it. I have a feeling you've done some research on this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're even watching like little blogs of seeing it getting made.
I was watching some
blogs,
yesterday on
listen to
YouTube.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Epic Universe is Universal's new like huge theme park. I think it comprises like 5 separate lands. So you've got a whole land dedicated to How to Train Your Dragon called Isle of Berk. There is the Monster Universe. I think it's called something like Dark Wood or Dark Universe. That's kind of like, your classic Frankenstein, the Wolfman. You have a whole new Harry Potter area dedicated to the Ministry of Magic and the France area used in Fantastic Beasts. Yeah. You have a Mario Land, which is
Super Mario Brothers. Oh, that looks so
That's
good.
cool. I would love to go to
Mario
Japan
Land
for that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And then I think it's called
it's like
Celestial Park.
Celestial,
is the new
yeah,
big
yeah.
central one. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's 5, because there's a center and then 4 ones on the side. It looks so good.
That's cool.
And like when we were there in September, they'd like started to put these big new like walls up around kind of like the ET ride area, saying like this is going to be part of Epic Universe. So we're like, ooh,
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see it getting done then. So the fact that it's going to be ready next year is insane. Like they've got to make that pretty damn quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it looks great as well. And just watching, it was like an announcement video on YouTube on like the official Universal Orlando YouTube channel that we were watching yesterday. And just like they're showing clips of like representing the history of Universal or whatever. And they're showing like clips of the Jaws ride and the ET ride and stuff. And it reminded me of those old menu like videos that you would get on DVDs and Blu-rays that you don't get anymore because everyone just watches stuff on streaming. But part of the whole thing when you would put the DVD in, you would get like the coming soon to parent, whatever it is.
Totally.
And, it totally reminded me of that. Yeah. So it looks great.
Yeah.
I forgot about those.
It does. It looks so good.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think it's probably about time. Like, I think the last time I went to Universal, there was a few streets you walk down and it's just kind of like, you just kind of keep going. And it's sort of a dusty, and you kind of look at some of the buildings and you go, those are empty. Like,
don't go near those.
It's all things that were used at one point where they've just kind of gone, all right, okay. Like the Jaws ride. Like I remember looking over because this was in California, did the Jaws ride. And it was literally just like a train track thing that kind of went into the water and then a Jaws thing came out at you. But it was part of a tour thing where you got to see part of where Jaws was filmed, like the big sort of lake with it's just basically a giant sky painted wall and a pond in front of it. And that's where they do a lot of filming, or they had it at one point. And I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. But I didn't get to see as much of that last time I was there. It's like,
I mean, I was there in 2008, so I definitely did the Jaws ride God. But then by the time I went back 10 years later, which was the last time I was there, was 2018, and it was gone. So I was glad I did it back then. But I was scared at the time, whereas in 2018 I would have like absolutely, because I'm like such a big Jaws fan, I would have just loved it now. But I was terrified in 2008.
Yeah.
Fair.
So yeah, that sounds really good. And I mean, as you say, Greg, it's very expensive to get there. But if you're doing that full experience, what an experience that's going to be, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like now knowing that you can go and say, like, if you did 2 weeks where you got Disney Universal and you had all of the Disney parks, and then you've now got, because Universal is technically two
Mm.
parks that are like combined, if that makes sense. You've got
Yeah.
Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, and you can get the Hogwarts Express to hop over
Right.
to each
Yeah.
one, or you can
Yeah.
just walk. But I think they're going to work out a way for you to get from one of the parks to Epic Universe. And the theory is that it's going to be the lifts in the Ministry. So it's either going to be the lifts
Oh.
in the Ministry, or it's going to be, where they use like those like chimneys and it's the green flames. Do they use flue powder for that?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
flue powder. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
the theory is that it's going to be one of those two that like gets you from one of the other parks to Epic Universe. But it looks so
Nice.
good, so
Sounds really
good.
cool. Did you go on the Hulk ride?
Oh yeah, 4 times.
I took my mom on the Hulk ride.
Oh,
I didn't tell her. Like, I was surprised she went. I was like, she was
yeah,
looking up at it. I'd been on it. I was like, that was awesome. Like, that was genuinely really
yeah,
good. And
yeah.
I was like, do you want to go? She's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, really? Okay. My mom has incredibly curly hair. And like the Hulk ride,
Oh
you go
wow.
up about halfway and then
Yeah,
it just
you
goes,
did.
oh,
Yeah.
and launches you. My mom was just screaming. We get to the end and her
Oh
hair
my
is like
God.
straight. She gets out, she's like, why didn't you tell me it was going to do that? And I was like, because I knew you wouldn't have gone.
It's like a skit from
Yeah,
something. Why did you tell me?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sorry.
Well, that was like a similar thing with Luce. So my wife Luce, my favorite human being on the planet, and I don't want to subject her to a theme park I'm not going to enjoy. So I was like, I will do the Hulk because I know you're really nervous. I'll go do it. And there's like no queues for the Hulk. It's just you just walk straight on. I'm
Right.
like, this is great. And so literally, like, I was on it and I was like, oh my God, that's exhilarating. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not as you think it's going to be, Luce. And she sits down the harness and the harness feels quite loose.
Oh,
And we're like,
no.
uh-oh. Oh no. So yeah, that I think she was like, never again.
No,
Never
that's
Never
again.
fair.
again. All right. Okay. Fair
But
That's
enough.
fair.
but Velocicoaster and
Oh,
Hagrid's motorbike ride were just sensational.
amazing.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
we've been saying all along that like Disney's a more magic feeling when you're in the parks, but the thrill rides
Yeah.
are better at Universal.
Agreed.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
What, is it Rock and Roller Coaster as well?
Oh,
The best one.
yes.
That was my favorite one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because you're just going up and
Yeah.
I was listening. What'd you put on the track? What'd you guys listen to?
I
Limp
put a
Bizkit.
Waterloo by ABBA.
You know what? I could totally see how that would work.
The war.
I could see that being pretty hype. But yeah, I also went with Limp Bizkit.
I was literally like, see, it's that bit where you're just going straight up vertically. It was all I could do is, and I was like, oh no, what have I done?
That's great.
I put on one of the most joyous songs ever, and I'm gonna
Totally.
be absolutely terrified out my mind. And it's just literally, I think it was that they've got it timed perfectly, and it was as you go down, you just hear my. I was like, oh no. It was terrifying.
Like Limp Bizkit, it's literally you get to the
Oh.
top and it goes, put your hands up, no, hands up. So I was like, the idea of doing that with Waterloo, that's amazing.
Greg, I
Oh,
love
I just
it.
had a
One of the most joyous songs ever.
Yeah, and it was. I just had a midlife crisis halfway through the ride. I was like, oh my God, this is what it must feel like. This is how I'm gonna die with ABBA blasting through my ears.
ABBA.
I've got this is the final thing that I'll hear when I die. Waterloo.
Why not? There's definitely worse things to hear at the
I was
end.
going to say.
Is that ABBA?
But I was,
I don't mind.
yeah, because it comes with that little list, and you're like,
Yeah.
right, what's good? I'll go pop.
It's so much pressure though, because you've only got a couple of seconds to decide which one. You know what I mean?
Well, when I was getting on the ride, you know how there's like because there is a height limit,
Right?
Yeah,
and I literally like was walking under it and kind of shrunk my neck a little bit,
Yeah.
and just like barely skimmed the top of my head, and people
Yeah.
clapped.
Brilliant.
People in the queue were like, "Golf clap." I'm like, nice.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
You have outsmarted the system. That is
You know
very
what I mean?
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, next time I go, I'll have to pick whatever ABBA song is on Dancing
by the way.
Queen
Just
or
do it,
SOS
just
or
do
something.
it. It was an experience. Let's put it that way. Because like I went on it on my own. Luce didn't want to go on it, so I was like, just listen, you go on a theme park ride and you get to listen to ABBA. This is great.
Right?
Best of both worlds.
Oh, listen. Oh well, best of both worlds from Hannah Montana. That would be a good one. But
Dreams Are Made Of by Hilary Duff.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you never know what the song's going to be. Maybe like a new ride in the Epic Universe will also let you pick songs, and it might be a whole new batch of songs you could pick.
Yeah,
Who knows?
by the way.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I've no idea really what we're going to talk about today, which is needed to record an episode. It's been a while since I spoke to the boys. I thought, let's just get on and we'll have a chat. We like to keep things informal here, as well as infernal.
Infernal.
We're still working on that.
Joke.
Still working on that Rowan Atkinson watch
That went
through.
over my head.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's Rowan Atkinson's like one man live show, right? That no one has seen other than me. And then I decided or discovered that Greg has also seen it and
Amazing.
knows it
yeah.
like off by heart,
religiously. Religiously. He comes down like his whole show opens where he's the devil doing roll call on a new batch of people that have come to hell. It's sensational.
I need to find this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'll tell you what then. We were going to do a watch along thing or like a watch through episode. We should get Tyler on too to watch it for the first time.
Yes,
That'd
be
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson's amazing. Oh, I watched Hot Shots Part 2 the other night,
Nice.
and Rowan Atkinson shows up at the very end, and it's like super random, but it's clearly at a point where he was like trying to break America because he's, it's the same with Hugh Laurie when he auditioned for House, and everybody was like, "That's what we need, just somebody who's just a normal Joe," and everybody's like, from Britain was like, what are you talking about?
It's Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie, like, we know him.
He's our friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name in Blackadder?
Prince
Darling.
something. Darling.
Yeah,
Darling,
Captain
was
Darling.
it?
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Captain Darling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I've not seen it in ages.
Yeah, me neither. That's a binge I should do soon. Actually, I'm looking for something new. It's just like throw on the TV. It's like a comfort show. Maybe it's a Blackadder watch through. That's a good show.
That might be a good shout, actually. I've been doing that with Deep Space Nine.
Nice.
Just finished Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I'd never watched it before. But we were
I've never
like,
seen it.
like me and Iona had never seen it before. But she's a massive Trekkie. She's got me into Star Wars genuinely, like because I grew up watching Next Generation, and little bits and pieces, but I was always a bit more Star Wars centric just because of the culture and my age. And then actually watching Star Trek, started watching Discovery, which I think like the first season's great. Like there's some really cool stuff. Jason Isaacs is in it, Michelle Yeoh, like brilliant, like, and really kind of twisty turny. It's a bit weaker in the newer seasons, but yeah, Deep Space Nine, which is some people's like comfort watch. Like there's like people that I follow that have the station in their up on their wall framed, where you're like, all right, okay, this has clearly had an impact.
Yeah.
But we just finished about 200 episodes.
Oh my god.
It's 25 episodes per season for 7 seasons.
I mean, so there must be more episodes in that then than there is in the Next Generation, right?
Oh, I don't know, actually. No, I think Next Generation has more.
Really? Okay, cool.
I think so.
Because I've seen a lot of the original stuff. My dad was a big fan of the original series and the original films, but I've never seen any of the Next Generation stuff or Deep Space Nine. I saw some of the new stuff. I saw Picard. I watched that. And
Picard,
I've seen some of Discovery.
The last season of Picard is the only season that they should have made. Like, the last season is all you need for Picard because it's the reunion. Season.
Got you. Okay, cool.
And it's tying up years and years of nostalgia. And it was genuinely, I watched the 3rd season and was like, this was all I needed. Just that.
Nice. So yeah, I always wanted to do that full sort of Star Trek watch through, but there's just so much of it, you know what I mean? But it's just great, but it's so much fun.
It's like we've been background watching it for about 4 months.
Yeah.
And that's 5 episodes a night, kind of like background watching.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
Taking us some time, chipping away at it.
We'll get there.
Like
Don't
honestly,
start now.
it felt strange. Like we kind of got to the end, and the last season's sort of it's okay. It's not it didn't end super strong. But even at the end, we were still tearing up just for the fact that we've been living with these characters for so long. We're like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna miss them.
Yeah. It would be like watching Grey's Anatomy or something that's like 64 seasons long.
Totally.
Yeah. So I've not seen that, but it's like a comfort show for like all my family, and I've just never
Totally.
seen it. Oh, you should watch Grey's Anatomy, and I'm like, it's 100 seasons. There's no way I'm going to watch it.
long.
You know. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking. We decided to start watching Abbott Elementary. I don't know
Oh,
if
I've
you've
heard
seen
really
that.
good things
Disney
about that.
Plus.
We're doing the exact same thing because we've literally just finished Modern Family
Nice.
and we've now started Abbott Elementary. It's so good.
It's so funny. I'm only a few episodes in,
So
but I'm
good.
really enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard great things. I need to get on it.
it's good. It's really good. We
Yeah.
kind
Because
of- we
it
always
was
want-
made by a teacher as well.
Really.
Yeah. I'm sure the woman. I don't quote me on this, but I'm sure the woman who created it was an elementary school teacher, and she was like, "I need to
It
just."
makes sense because
Yeah,
yeah.
it really feels like it's been written by someone that knows. that
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, like we always we'll have like a series that we're watching where we pay like full attention to, and then we have what's known as a dinner series. So if we
Nice.
sat having dinner, it's kind
That's
of then
great.
on in the background. And it's kind of one where like you can watch it, but you're not paying 1,000,000% attention to it, and you can dip
Yeah.
in and out. So that's what we did with Modern Family, which is loved it. And it ended so well. Like I'm like, because before that was How I Met Your Mother. They didn't have a great ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what we did. Yeah.
Cool. I'm also watching Arrested Development. I don't know if you've seen much of Arrested Development, but I do my first
you-
ever watch through. Right
You've
now.
never watched it before?
Well, I'm going
Never
through it
seen
now.
it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that like informed my high school experience. Like
Really?
because it was coming out in the States like in what was it, like 2005, 2004 or something like that.
And
Like
did it take a break or something as well when
Well,
it came back?
I think it was oh yeah, they did a break and came back and did another Netflix
Like
thing.
recently, right? Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't think had the same sort of magic as before, but like
Okay.
those first few series, they pioneered the improvised sitcom.
Like The Office.
Because yeah. So, but it was loads of amazing improvisational actors, like people like David Cross, like who plays Tobias.
Yeah.
Is Never Nude.
The Never Nude.
His stuff is genius, but the way they all work together, like the scenes. What is it? Jason Bateman comes in and he's on the phone with somebody, and he pulls a bag out of the fridge, and it says "dead dove" inside, and he's like, looks at it, and he's like, "What?" And he opens it and just goes, "I don't know what I expected." There's so many jokes, like Job. Because by the way, I've gotten jobs by imitating. I have a what's his name who plays Job? Will Arnett.
Oh, who's got one of the deepest voices?
But it's just naturally down here all the time.
Yeah.
And so because I was able to mimic that, like I got one voiceover where it was like
Very
I
nice.
was a badger, and they just wanted basically Will Arnett, and I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's
So
Michael Cera in that film though. Oh my god! And that show is so funny. It's the
He's-
oh yeah man, I agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. It's like it's that dry, like trying to not look like a loser kind of attitude. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, and he's so young as well. Like he
Oh,
was still
man.
in high school at the time. Like
Yeah.
My God.
genius.
So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that one because that's
Oh, please do. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the bits as well, like there's so many great cameos. Like what is it? Gene Parmesan. There's just like just ridiculous characters that show up. What's her name? Daughter of oh, come on. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Judy Garland.
Liza Minnelli.
Yes,
Liza Minnelli, yeah,
Liza
yeah.
Minnelli shows up for like the last few seasons, and yeah. Also, the mom from Archer is the mom in. Did you ever watch Archer?
I didn't see it. No, I knew of it, but I
Okay.
didn't see him. Yeah.
So, yeah, Lucille Ball is. I'm forgetting her name as well. She's an absolute legend. She was brilliant. Very funny. One of the funniest lines. Somebody hands her a glass of wine. And she's supposed to be at a country club, but she's not. And they're handing her the glass of wine, holding it like with like this on the glass. And she goes, no. If I wanted something that had touched, Oh, I'm not gonna remember it. I'm not gonna do it justice. What is
Okay.
it? If I wanted something your thumb had touched, I would have ordered the inside of your ear.
Oh,
It's
God.
brutal.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so good. It's like, as you say, that improvised kind of comedy that just stands out over anything else, I think. So yeah, no, I'll let you know how that goes. I'll let you know how it goes. It's a really good show, really funny. All right, Greg, let's have a look at some recent purchases. I always
All
like to
right.
ask you your new additions to your collection because, as you just said before we started rolling as well, new location, new recording studio, nice
New
setup in the
location.
background with some books and some movies and some stuff.
Yeah, so we can have all the collection all in one place now, which is very exciting. Now, because obviously, post wedding and post honeymoon and post house move, you can't splash out all the nice treats
Yeah.
anymore.
It's a time,
So
yeah.
I've been slowing down, but also I've noticed at the moment there hasn't been a huge amount of new actual like physical releases that have really, really grasped my attention. There's a lot of stuff that I've seen at the cinema that I am so excited for it to come out on a home release. But so when I bought these, I sent Chris pictures of them because this was my my movie of the year last year, and it was Wonka.
Oh
Now
yeah.
this is in a really, really nice steelbook design where it's like a tray made of chocolate designs.
I mean,
So
that's fantastic.
Cute.
this was yeah, I mean it's so nice and like I can't even take the back sleeve off, but it's got like another tray with chocolates underneath. So that's Wonka 1.
That's fun.
Then,
Wonka 1, by the
Wonka
way.
1.
then we have Wonka 2.
Amazing.
That is now all of the chocolatey treats all in one, and
Excellent.
then we have Wonka 3, which is got Timothy Himalayan on it, and
Yes.
there's
Pink
Wonka 3,
Himalayan
and
salt.
then we have what? No, I'm messing now. Just the 3. There was like a
the 3.
special version, just
Wow.
just the 3. But I'm that one I desperately want to keep. Those two may find
Yeah,
another
yeah.
home someday. But
Yeah.
I'm keeping them in cellophane, because I'm
Yeah.
not an animal. So it's
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do think there's going to be a point. Like the amount of digital things, it really is. The physical copies are going away.
Yeah.
well, what
Right.
company is it? Is it there's a company in Australia, I think, that have just said that's it. They're no longer releasing home media.
Yeah. Indicator. Is it
Wow.
Indicator? Is it Network?
Yes,
Something like that.
There's
Yeah.
some big
Wow.
company that has said that they're no longer going to make physical media in Australia. And then what's it called? Best Buy in
Right.
Really?
yeah, you can no longer buy Blu-ray discs from Best Buy. They've gone. So when we were there in our honeymoon, I was like, oh, I wonder what like American steelbooks are out. And then I looked on Best Buy and there was a Matilda one, which Matilda has never had a UK steelbook release. And it was like
Oh.
200 quid on
What?
eBay to get it imported over.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
just said to Luce, I was like, let's just see if there's a Best Buy nearby that has one in stock. And maybe like 20 minutes down the road, I was like, we're going. But if we'd have waited till now, couldn't get it.
Of course.
Because they've just gotten rid of it all. So then the final one is The Creator, which was a brilliant movie last year. So directed
Yeah, me neither.
so good. So Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One, which is
Yeah.
easily the best, in my opinion, the best Star Wars project since Disney took over.
Mm.
And then I
I'd
think
say
that's why
first season of Mandalorian.
ooh,
That's
controversial.
right. But only because it's going back to the source material,
Yes, yeah.
which I think Rogue One did as well, where it was like
Yeah.
it's more about rather than somebody talked about this, all the Simpsons writers were all media nerds, whereas now the Simpsons writers are Simpsons nerds.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that happens with Star Wars,
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
with Star Trek, all of these
Yeah,
things. So much of Star Wars is now informed by other Star Wars things.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else was all the weird things that George Lucas was watching, all these Japanese cinema,
Yeah.
like Hidden Fortress and Kurosawa.
Such a good.
Anyway.
That's such a good point. Yeah, and it makes sense because there's not a. I was about to say there's not a huge amount that feels like really massively original.
No.
If I can go that
Yeah.
No,
far.
100%. I think you're completely valid.
It feels like everything needs to kind of like feels like it fits within the universe as opposed to going. We're gonna create something that
I think that also has to
can
do
become
with the
part
way
of it.
that studios work and pitching, and the idea that
Yeah,
almost all things that you're pitching have to have a tagline that is like, it's like this, rather
yeah,
than this is the
yeah,
story I would like to tell. We're gonna,
Yeah.
use this in these avenues. It always has to. It's the same with like new bands. You've always got to be like, we sound like
yeah,
Nirvana and
Yeah.
Foo Fighters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
otherwise people will be
yeah,
like, I don't know.
Who are
I
you? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like I love the
yeah,
fact that
yeah.
and even Alien, when they pitched Alien, the tagline when they sold that film was Jaws in
Yeah.
space.
Just in space.
Yeah.
Scary, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah. Although what I will say is
ridiculous.
that yesterday, on recording day, Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, and before Cinco de Mayo would have been May the 4th, which you
Yep.
should have done something for.
Oh,
and I
yes.
saw the Phantom Menace 4DX at Cineworld.
dude,
Oh,
I was walking past the Grosvenor and I saw a poster for Phantom Menace and I was like, oh, my
Yeah.
childhood. I was like,
oh my God! You saw it in the X.
4DX Star Wars. Yes.
That pod racing scene must have
Mate,
been
honestly,
magic.
that's the one part of it. I mean, I've been to some 4DX films before that you've got
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
battered, right? But the pod race, at one point I was actually like, my neck is getting sore. But yeah, so that was great, right? Seeing it at 4DX, definitely. I don't know. I've always liked the film. I've always liked the Phantom Menace, right? I've always rated it over
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones big time. And the Clone Wars film. Not so sure about the show. I enjoy the show. Is it better than Phantom Menace? Not sure. But Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorites. But in terms of Phantom Menace, I've always enjoyed. But I enjoyed it the most seeing it like this because it was just, at times it got a little bit annoying because of the lasers, and then every single time someone shot, it was the thing in your ear. Thing in your, so every single time, and the Phantom Menace is loaded with lasers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really good. And then after the film finished, you got a special preview of The Acolyte, the new Disney Plus show that's coming out on June the 4th.
Oh, cool.
I don't know why they pushed it to June the 4th. It's not June the 4th be with you, but there you go.
No, yeah.
And yeah, we saw it was like I don't know, 5 minutes of it or something. There was like a fight scene that hasn't been in one of the trailers yet. Then they showed the trailer also in 4DX, which was cool. I don't know how they like knew what to do because
cool.
the show's not out yet. I guess they just went, we'll just move the chairs here. So yeah, and that looks really good. It looks original because it's 100 years before Phantom Menace. So that'll be interesting. But you're right, it will obviously harken back to loads of stuff. There's going to be loads of lightsaber stuff. But I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have any like live action lightsabery stuff, since I don't know, obviously the Clone Wars series was there, the Obi-Wan series was there, of course, but there's not really like in terms of the Jedi wars that are going on. The best indication we have of the actual Star Wars is probably the Clone Wars TV show, because everything's just going on at once. So I think we might get a bit of that in this, like just Jedi fighting other Jedi or Jedi turning and things like that. So I think it's going to be pretty good. But then again, we said that about loads of stuff, but
there's so much stuff that you could take from, because like I used to play the video games like Knights of the Old Republic, and those are set like hundreds of years before the films. But what they had to do is they had to create so many other things that were still in, but they were like, but we can't do it that way. We've got to come up with how it became that way. Like, so you go to Kashyyyk, you go to the Wookiee planet, you go to like these different places, and it's like so good. Like, I think they brought it out on iOS as well, so you can get it on your phone, because it's like the gameplay is super simple. It's literally like click on the bad guys and then you'll do your main attack, but you get to a point where and the story was brilliant. It was one of the first not one of the first, but it was a big sort of one of the first moral choice. Everything that you did had an effect, to the point where one of the evil, I had to step away because I was like, I can't believe my character just did that. Like, I know I told them to do that, but like I genuinely feel really bad now.
Yeah. Did you ever play the Revenge of the Sith PlayStation game?
No.
Oh yes. Oh, with the alternative ending.
With the alternative, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
What?
So I think it was the final level where it was like Obi-Wan versus Anakin, but I think depending on who you played as, is that correct, Chris?
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
If you played as Anakin, you would always win, and you would actually kill Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And then
you'd still need to win
go,
like as controlling the character.
Yeah.
To complete the level. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So if you beat that boss level, but you played as Anakin fighting against Obi-Wan, you would then kill Obi-Wan, and then go back to the ship where Palpatine's waiting for you, then kill Palpatine and go, the galaxy is mine, like that kind of thing. But then if you played as Obi-Wan and you killed Anakin, it was the ending from the movie. But it was what? This didn't happen.
That's not canon. That's not canon.
Actually, I think you'll find that Obi-Wan did not die. Yeah.
That couldn't have happened.
No. That's not in my movie.
That's cool though. I love it when there's stuff like that. I mean, even I didn't play Force Unleashed, but that being a whole
same.
But it was it's all about Darth Vader's prodigy. That he's raising up, and eventually I think he gets to the point where he's like, oh, we're evil, and I don't think I feel good being evil anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the ending. Yeah, that's the way it went.
Yeah, that's it.
I just saw it on. Sorry, go on.
No.
I saw it on Twitter yesterday because it was like, I don't know, 20 years since that game came out then. So, and it showed the alternative ending. And I was like, I cannot believe I forgot about this because it was like a whole other thing that you never saw in the film, So yeah,
that's cool.
That's mad. Yeah. What new releases did you pick up, Chris?
There's no
what
new
is your
releases.
latest pickup?
I can't say it's releases. It's just stuff that I've picked up, So I got this nice digipack of Dunkirk. I don't know if you've seen that.
Hello.
I've still not watched Dunkirk, actually. I really need to.
Got it right there.
It's
You've not seen Dunkirk?
No, I still haven't. It's and I love Nolan, obviously, but I need to.
It's magic.
It's really nice. Yeah, it's not my favorite Nolan film, but it's definitely I hate using the word less complicated. That's not what I mean, and that doesn't. And if it's a complicated film, doesn't make it not one of my favorites.
No, but also Nolan films are complicated.
You know what I mean? Like you're watching Tenet, and I'm like, I need to lie down for a second. Like
I find with Nolan films, there's usually a key, and once you find the key, then you're like, oh, okay,
right.
I got you.
And I wish I knew that at the start.
But he doesn't tell you it. He doesn't ever tell you it. Like it took me. What was the most recent one?
Oppenheimer.
And we spoke about this. Yeah. Because it was the whole thing of like, it was all from his perspective, and I was like, oh, of course, cool.
But I mean, that makes you go watch it again, right? He's pretty clever with that. You'll go back and see it again. But it's I was on Vinted. I was just talking to Tyler about it, just to go on Vinted, and you find some secondhand stuff. It's really good, and it's perfect condition. It's got a nice little book here telling you about the making of the film.
Amazing.
And it has a special never before released bonus disc, so that's very nice. Pick that one up. This is very old school. I used to do this all the time on YouTube. Like, welcome back to my collection update, guys. All right, then I have this. I don't know if you've seen any French cinema, but this is some Agnès Varda films. I'm a big wrestling fan, and the WWE were in France this week, so naturally it was just loads of French stuff on my social media. So I decided I want to watch some French movies.
Amazing.
I watched some of those. Okay. I'm also a huge Jackie Chan fan. And just like Hong Kong Asian cinema in general. So they have a 2 for £15 deal in HMV right now. So I got Dragon Lord.
Amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah. Still in the wrapper, of course. And of course, Armour of God that I have seen before, but I've never owned.
I've not seen either of those.
This one is absolutely epic. And I watched it years ago, and then last couple of years, read this book. And he talks about some of the stunts from this one, and it is unbelievable. So picked those up 2 for 15, and then this was yesterday. This is a Sunday Times bestseller by Quentin Tarantino, Cinema Speculation. It's a book from my trip to Greece. So
nice.
Cool. It is about all the films that influenced him from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, I believe.
That's it. This was out?
Yeah, and it looks like, I don't know for sure yet, but it looks like there's chapters on individual films that inspired him.
Ooh,
that's cool.
And like
that's
what
really
that
cool.
led to from sort of like, there's stuff with Brian De Palma in here. There was a whole chapter on Taxi Driver, that's for sure. So some really cool stuff in here. And he's I think it's an easy option when people ask you, who's your favourite director, because there's so many like big films, but he's such a fascinating guy, and I hate, obviously we're all weirdos in our own way, but he's just
some of us are just more into feet.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever seen? There's I don't know if it's the Criterion thing or not. maybe it's not Criterion. There's like a video of him online, and he's like, it's his desert pics, and it's like the 3 films he'd take with him to a desert island.
Oh yeah.
And he's like walking around like a HMV kind of type stuff. Maybe it's like Best Buy or something. And he's just talking about the films, and he's making jokes that aren't funny, but he's howling at the fact that he just made the joke. And it's so Tarantino, you know. So he's such a fascinating guy. You watch interviews with him, you're like, what are you talking about? But somehow you make so much sense. He's also made these absolute unbelievable movies. So I've never read a book by him. So that's apparently it's all handwritten by him. Well, not this copy. He did type it, and it's been a copied version. But still, it is a film. It is a book written by him that I've never read before. So I'm going to check it out and take it on holiday. That's
that's a great show. His deep dives, I imagine, will be thorough.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and of course he was going to do his last film. He says last, but I don't know if it's going to be. But then he's changed his mind. He's going to do something else now.
He'll get bored.
Yeah,
he'll get bored. Everybody does.
That's right. Yes, I mean, look at Scorsese still making films. He can hardly walk.
He's still going strong, isn't he?
Francis Ford Coppola as well,
right? Yeah,
who's just put a bunch of his own money into making his last film ever.
Oh my God,
have you heard about that?
No. What's that one?
Apparently making this. Francis Ford Coppola has put a bunch of his own money into making his swan song piece. I don't know if I know somebody who's seen it, but I haven't heard amazing reviews about it. So there were some people that were like, okay, it's a passion project. Like
it's a passion project.
Very expensive passion project.
Yes.
You sound like Stewie Griffin.
You working on a little character development? Yeah.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip? No. Yeah.
Why are you putting so much emphasis on the age? Okay, cool. And another thing I wanted to bring up as well, we chatted about last week on the show. I had the host of the Cultural Coven podcast, Nicola Roy. Tyler, do you know Nicola?
Oh, yeah, I know Nicola.
Yeah. So she was absolutely great, as I'm sure you know. She's she's lovely,
super lovely.
So she was chatting about having Nicola Sturgeon and Ricky Ross on our podcast. I was like, how on earth did you get Ricky Ross on your podcast?
Hilarious.
And the whole time I was just waiting. I was like, you have to leave with your dignity, and I couldn't get in there. But it never worked. But yeah, we're talking about concerts and gigs that we've been to, and because I was recently buying tickets to go to the WWE are doing a show in Glasgow in June. And it's like I was like, it's my Taylor Swift. It's like a big thing.
Yeah, totally.
But the ticket prices are unbelievable. Like, just ridiculous, really? Disgusting, like ruins it. So I was really kind of contemplating what I wanted to spend on the tickets, but I know it's going to be a lot of money. So I was asking Nicola, like, what are some of the biggest concert tickets you've paid for, or show tickets? Who are some of the best people you've ever seen? And I thought, I'll bring it up to you guys. Do you have anybody off the top of your head that you've been to see that you've maybe forked out a little bit extra for? And who has been like the greatest acts you've ever seen live, whether it's been when you were younger or now or on holiday or whatever?
So I got tickets to go see Guns N' Roses in Bella Houston Park last year. And I have to say that honestly, like I actually won't hear any bad words against Axl Rose, because whether or not he can, his voice is definitely damaged, but that man put on a show for 2 hours. Like the whole band, it was raining. Apparently they had just come from Glastonbury and everybody was complaining about the rain, and they're like, we're going to go to Scotland. It's going to rain and it's going to be a great show. Yeah. And honestly, like they were rocking it. They were energy. And Axl Rose like bowed after every song. Like there was just a sense of gratitude that he knew that, this was a kind of second chance to do this. And he was genuinely enjoying it and having fun. And I was like, that was really fun to watch, actually.
That's a great shout. And I would have loved to have seen that gig. And I mean, I know people were kind of hating on Axl Rose, but the thing is, he's Axl Rose. Yeah. Like, I mean, his voice may be shot, but he's still singing these classic songs that do sound a bit kind of crazy anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, like, their story's really interesting as well. Like, they had... they were so poor and they were hanging out with prostitutes. Like they were their pals, and these women were taking care of them because they were destitute. They had nothing. They had prostitutes taking them in, being like, boys, like you need some clothes. And so when it came to them doing their first gigs, the women were like, right, we'll do your hair and we'll give you clothes. So a little bit of that comes from, you know,
Yeah.
the big wild hair, the makeup,
Yeah.
the, you know, the tube tops, you know, the leopard print was it was their clothes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you go, that's not a detail I'd ever heard before.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I saw Slash the other week as well with Miles Kennedy. They played the Hydro in Glasgow. That was a great show too. But the issue was they only played the original songs, which of course they're going to because it's their music. But like they didn't play any like classics, and I was kind of not disappointed. You can't.
No, but you're waiting for it, and you're like, ooh.
I didn't go see Guns N' Roses, but like I was hoping for Sweet Child of Mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was-
you
it was
missed
a
it
good
because they played everything.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
They played like a 3-song encore as well, where you were just like, they're still going.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
Slash does not stop playing ever. His
Yeah,
fingers
he's-
are just like,
He was doing like cartwheels and stuff on the stage the other night.
not surprised.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
He's like 53 now or something, man. Yeah. Great. What about you, Greg?
so I think I could potentially sound like a 40-year-old mum here, but I think the best like gig I've ever like I'm gonna say visually seen was back in 2009. And I went to see Take That doing the circus tour.
I don't know why. See when you
I've seen
said,
clips of that. It looks amazing.
See when you said you were going to be like a
It's-
40-year-old mum or something like that. I don't know
Yeah.
why I knew you were going to say Take That. I don't know why.
Oh, it's. I mean, I'm a sucker for Take That. Like,
Absolutely.
It's just feel good music. But the circus tour was. It was just something else. Like they had, you know, a giant robotic elephant that carried
Yeah.
them from the middle of Wembley Stadium to the end, and it was like, you know, they had this huge inflatable ringmaster where it's like its head was just an LCD screen that reacted to stuff. It was just visually phenomenal. I'm a sucker for Coldplay, so any of their gigs we go to, because I love the wristbands. Like we had them at our wedding.
Cool.
So I'm a big sucker for like visuals at a concert. Like it sounds daft, but the music I can kind of like take it or leave it. It's more about the atmosphere and the little world that they create for you when you go to it.
Totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite kind of like band on the planet is a band called Bleachers. And they are fronted by a guy called Jack Antonoff, who's like one of the biggest producers in the world. He was the bass player in Fun, who's now basically created his whole entire career for himself, and he's the leader of this band. And the energy. So Luce and I went to go and see him in Manchester, and just the sheer like just. I can't even the magnitude of the energy that was in that room. You know, we're in the O2 Apollo, so it's a tiny little like condensed environment, but my God, like that whole audience knew every word, and it was just electric.
That's cool.
It's weird. You can have experiences where it's just, you know, tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
But going to something where like it feels more magnetic.
I went to a gig at King Tut's a little while ago, and it was exactly that, where it was like, it was a band from Brighton. They've just done their first American tour. They're called Tiger Cub, and they were produced by the same people that produced the first 2 Queens of the Stone Age albums.
Oh, wow.
And their sound is awesome. Genuinely, go check out Tiger Cub. And it was the best gig that I'd seen last year. And it was the first gig that I went to after lockdown, I think. And it was one where I was like, I saw they were coming to Glasgow. I was like, right, getting those tickets. And I went, and it's King Tut's is not massive. I think you can maybe fit like 200 people in there.
Yeah,
like,
I was there the other night, yeah.
They're packed in. But usually when you go to gigs, people just kind of bob. You're kind of like, pleasant, whatever.
Yeah.
When the breakdowns hit, everybody in the room was just like, and it was
amazing.
It was awesome. Like it was genuinely like it's that kind of like that communion thing where you're like, everybody is in this. And like you saw a few people in the corner, they were mouthing every single word, and they were genuinely like electric. They were really good.
Nice one. Okay, cool. I'm
Makes
just
all the
taking
difference.
screenshots of, you said Bleachers and then Tiger Cub. Is that your 2 recommendations?
Bleachers. Yep.
Nice one. Okay, cool. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like, I don't feel like I I love music and I love bands and that sort of thing, but I don't feel like I have that one connection like other people do. You know, like there's a band that really is like shaped someone's life, or like there's a song that means so much to them. Like I have that with some bands and stuff, but not to the extent of other people, I think. So I don't have many concert experiences because maybe I'll like a band, right? And then they're coming to Glasgow and I'll be like, oh cool, like I would go and see them. But I've only maybe listened to like 5 or 6 of the songs, and I like all those songs, but they're playing 20 songs. So you're like, okay, and obviously you go and learn the songs and whatever, but like there's not anybody really that I would maybe go totally out my way to go and see and pay ridiculous prices for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, now as a film fan, this is why I'm excited for if you do get to listen to some Bleacher songs, because imagine their sounds very kind of like based on oh my God, Bruce Springsteen esque meets modern pop. But imagine the kind of music that plays in an 80s movie in the moment where the person goes, I need to go tell them how I feel, and they're like running through the streets past everyone, and it's that epic feel good, like energy, like you can do it kind of like music.
Dog Days by Florence and the Machine kind of
imagine it's just a whole gig of that, just non-stop electric.
That's magic.
It's just there's I'm kind of glad as well that they're a little bit under the radar, because I'm like, oh, thank God it's not mainstream. But then I'm one of those guys that's like, oh no, I don't want them to be popular, but then also
like
I want them to be big because I want them to be successful. More.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Just be famous enough to keep making albums, but not enough so that I can't get a ticket.
They're mine, you know?
Yeah. As selfish as that sounds, but like,
no, but I get it.
Like, so good.
Well, as well, like being able to go and see him like in an intimate place. Like I remember when I first came to Glasgow, and one of my friends went to go see Beirut, which had been doing really well in the States, but nobody really knew about over here, and they were just playing like in a little pub. They were like, I can't believe I got to see that.
Yeah.
Same with Frightened Rabbit. Frightened Rabbit used to do just little acoustic gigs randomly in places in Edinburgh, and everybody'd be like, I just saw Frightened Rabbit. Like, what? Like,
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have more kind of concert stories. And I feel like everyone's got a concert story or got like great, gigs they've been to see and life-changing moments at gigs and that sort of thing. So, maybe that should be a recurring series. I don't know. All right. Tell me some recent watches then for the two of you, whether it's been at the cinema or whether it's been in the house or whether it's been on your wrist.
Civil War.
Good shout, because I also saw Civil War. Let's talk about that.
Oh, Tyler, have you seen Civil War?
I have not. I'm very intrigued, but also slightly terrified to go see it because I'm American.
Okay, fair.
It's a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I know it's gonna be triggering and also a little bit too real. But I do need to see it. I do want to see it because it looks ace.
I immediately got out of the cinema, so I went to see it in IMAX on opening night, and I was like, I need to see it because I don't want it spoiled. And I left just in tears, but not because not because anything horrifically sad happened to do that. It was just the whole movie kind of made me just like tremble. Like maybe that was IMAX because every single bullet that was fired, my God, you felt it.
Yeah. And
it was deafening, and I just left just shaking, thinking, oh my God, what if this actually happens? It's, directed by Alex Garland, who's done things like Annihilation and Ex Machina, Ex Machina. It was harrowing.
It's good at visceral.
Harrowing.
Yeah. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but when I saw Let the Right One In, I had the similar thing with the end with it. I have never been so scared of a knife in a film in my life, and I left being like, I am terrified, and this is just a child with a knife. Like like the threat is not, No. But some directors are good at dealing with it.
Yeah. And what I will let you speak, Chris.
No,
one
please.
Of the things that felt so satisfying about it is that not once in the movie is it ever addressed like why this war has started.
Uh,
Right.
And I think that was what was very, very, very clever about the movie is that at no point does it ever say this is why it happened and here's how it all started. It's just kind of like it doesn't deal with the why, it just deals with the what happens when this happens.
yeah.
And that was what was quite scary, is that you just dropped into cool, America's smack bang in the middle of a brand new civil war that's probably never going to end.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that was quite scary.
I mean, you summed it up perfectly. It's a total vibe of a movie, right? It's like the whole atmosphere
Yes.
of the cinema when you're
Yeah.
watching it. And I didn't see IMAX. That would have been another experience completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what I really thought was really effective was there was lots of long scenes.
Yes.
Because there's
Yeah.
these like sleepless nights that the characters are having, or very little sleep anyway, because they're sleeping in the back of a car or whatever, and like it's almost like you're watching these long scenes as if you're there with them a lot of the time, because a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff is just showing them lying there or showing them
Yeah.
walking to the next bit they're going to try and lie down and go to sleep. It's this
Yeah.
constant like reminder that life would be hell, and they're
Yeah.
kind of in this
Yeah.
moment. So yeah, I thought it was a very, very, very well made film. The issue with these sort of films though is because they're not the cheeriest. When I leave. And
Yeah.
as you say, like you're scared and stuff, right? You can't. I'm not
Yeah.
coming out these films being like, "What a brilliant film!"
Yeah.
Like I didn't say that about Oppenheimer either, because I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, what did I just watch?" But later on, you go, "That was very well made,"
Yeah.
and the acting
Yeah.
is unbelievable and that sort of thing. Some great cinematography in Civil War, actually.
Yeah.
Really interesting perspective because you're following someone who is a photographer of the whole thing, so it's almost like they're immune to the fighting because it's almost like they're not being shot at.
They're completely unbiased.
Yeah.
They are doing a job. They're not trying to show one side as right, one side as
That's
wrong.
really fascinating.
And the whole premise is that they are like probably any day now. Because he's created these kind of like new sections of the US. Like I think there's like
New
the
territories.
Yeah.
there's the
Yeah.
Florida,
It's
there's
what
the
would happen.
Florida Alliance or something like that, which is, and then
Mhm.
you've got like the western states of California and Texas or
Yep.
something like that, where they've teamed up together, and then you've got the United States, which is kind of like the middle all the way to the US, and then there's something at the top, and I'm like, I can't remember the exacts, but it's about these journalists who like any day now the Western forces are going to get to the White House. And when they do, they're going to drag the president out. They're going to execute him. Because what we discover is that the president is currently in his unsolicited third term. But again, that's not explained. That's
Nope.
not.
But it's a lot
not
of
kinda
people
like,
in
oh,
America. It's a lot
how
of
did he do
Americans'
that?
fears that somebody is going to be like, no, you know what? I'm staying.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay. And it's brilliantly played by Nick Offerman.
Yep.
But he's
Oh,
barely in it.
amazing.
And that's what was really nice, is that the movie starts with him kind of like preparing to address the nation.
That was
Then, like,
great,
the
right?
TV cuts, so clever.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going against forces. And he was brilliant. And then
Brilliant.
you don't really then see him for a huge part. I'm not going to say anymore. So yeah, these journalists are like, any moment now, those forces are going to invade the White House and they're going to kill him. So before that happens, let's try and get an interview with him. So they go from New York down to Washington, and every single person that they bump into is like, that is not safe. Like you'll die. A journalist in Washington, you'll be shot on sight. And it's all these kind of like themes of like, okay, we're going to go into the most dangerous war zone in all of the US, and it's DC.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh god,
That's good.
and I still remember from the trailer, there's this visceral image showing a copter flying through smoke, and it goes past the Washington Monument,
Yeah.
and kind of like turns around, and then you see the what's the building called that has the statue of Lincoln at the front of it?
The Lincoln Memorial.
Yes, that's it. So
Yeah.
it passes the Washington Memorial, goes past the Lincoln Memorial, and then it kind of like cuts to another shot. But I remember thinking, I can't wait to see that moment. And that's how we're introed to DC
That's
in the movie. It's
cool.
just that helicopter flying over, and it's just darkness, but there's flames and smoke everywhere. There's shots firing up into the sky. I'm like, this is DC. How is this happening? Yeah, it was brutal. And Jesse Plemons plays possibly one of the most terrifying characters
he was in that.
I was about to say the scene with Jesse Plemons is unbelievable. Yeah, it's one of those. Sorry, go on.
No, he's the new Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like,
yes,
as far as somebody who has the range and doesn't judge their characters. Like, you can have him. I mean, obviously, he was in Breaking Bad. It was that kind of way where you're going like, I kind of like him, but also, I really
what is wrong with him?
What is going on? And these characters that you're just genuinely able to watch, rather than having some people tell you a story. Some people pull you in, and some people are just like doing their thing, and you're like, okay.
Is terrifying. But the thing is, though, is what didn't help is that the day that I saw it. Have you ever seen a movie called Game Night?
Jason Bateman. Yeah,
it's Jason Bateman and
is it Kate Blanchett?
Rachel McAdams.
Oh, it's Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
But Jesse Plemons plays their next door neighbor.
That's right. With a cat.
He's a cat and he's a police officer, but every line he delivers is just so blank and just so direct. So, but like, they don't ever want to invite him over to his game night. So as they're coming out of the car, they've just got all these bags of shopping and he's just stood there with his cat and he's like, "You got a lot of food there?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, we're having a big night in."
Oh no.
I see you got a lot of Frito-Lays. I'm like, "Yeah, well, it was a 3-for-1 offer." He's like, "How could that be financially beneficial with Frito-Lays?" But it's just with this intensity that he stares at them. Anyway, but unfortunately, I'd seen that clip before seeing Civil War. So when he came on screen, I was like, "Oh no!" But
it was interlocked. It was the same character. Oh my god!
Oh no! But then, thankfully, not thankfully, but at least his character is just so unnerving because it's that infamous shot from the movies where he's and they're like, "We're American." He says, "Okay, well, what kind of American are you?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh no! Oh no!"
Yeah.
And then anyway, it's the movie that I am excited to be able to pick up like this.
Totally.
I cannot wait to see it again without the stress of not knowing what's in. So at least I can now kind of like appreciate it as a film.
It's an ADHD
thinking,
thing.
Oh my god! It is totally is. Yeah. I'm like, I need to know what happens, and then I can go back and enjoy it.
Absolutely. I always enjoy stuff in the second viewing for that reason. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what that was supposed to be in the first time, but I was too busy thinking about other things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was very good. If anybody that can see it, I think it's a very important story as well. Very important.
There's certain moments in films like that flip it, right? And it makes it goes from a good film to a oh my god moment, and the Jesse Plemons moment I thought was in that film. The moment, I don't know why I just thought that, but the moment in Saltburn. Have you seen Saltburn?
No,
not yet.
There's a moment. I mean, Barry Keoghan is a relatively weird guy anyway, or weird character in the film anyway, but there's a particularly weird moment halfway through the film.
I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard quite a bit about it.
Is it this grave scene?
Or the bath?
No, there's a bit before it in the bath. Yeah. There's two moments in that film that are ridiculous, but like there's one moment in the bath that you're kind of feeling one way about his character, and then there's a moment in the bath and it totally changes the film. And it makes you go, "Oh wow, okay, this is going a different direction." But I mean, he's just electric in that film. But yeah, like it's one of those moments, that makes you really sit up and take note. Another film that I've seen recently is called Challengers. I don't know if either of you have seen Challengers, the new Zendaya film.
Was it good?
It was really good. A lot of people are having mixed opinions on it, actually. I was expecting to be one of those films that comes out and just everybody goes nuts over and stuff.
Oh, is that the tennis one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw memes where it was like the Spider-Man to Soldier and Mary Jane to tennis film pipeline is very real, because like literally all of the women who did Spider-Man who played Mary Jane, or a love interest of Spider-Man, did a tennis film like right after.
Right, yeah. Battle of the Sexes, Emma Stone.
Yeah.
What was the one Kirsten Dunst did?
I can't remember. Wimbledon.
Well, okay, of course, yeah. I was thinking of the King Richard film with Will Smith, and I was like, Will Smith was not a Spider-Man. Love it.
Different year.
But there is a moment though with Zendaya, and she's got a daughter in the film, and the daughter's like, "Mom, can we watch Spider-Verse?" And I know Zendaya's not in Spider-Verse, but I was like, "Oh, that's a nice little connection."
Yeah.
That's nice. Was it good though? It looked interesting.
Yeah, one of those films it's an electric film. It's really one of those ones that's just like, whoa, okay, I'm not sure where this is going. I feel a little bit uneasy. Maybe I'm not supposed to be seeing some of this stuff. Quite a saucy, sexy film. It's a love triangle. It's it's one of those films that's like you're taking sides and stuff. No pun intended about the tennis thing, but awesome performances, especially by Zendaya. And she's obviously right now she's one of those big stars, right? She's one of the current like huge names, right? And maybe it's just me being, I don't know, fussy or whatever, but there's never been a moment where I've been like, oh, I think she's amazing until this film.
Oh, really?
And I'm sitting going, she's brilliant. Yeah. So I've not seen Euphoria. I've heard that if I watched Euphoria, she would be incredible in that. So
right.
So totally recommend that one.
Cool.
It's still in cinemas if you guys are looking for something to see. Tyler, what have you seen recently? Have you got anything? Obviously, you talked about Deep Space Nine and stuff. But anything else?
Yeah, I watched Dune. I hadn't watched the first or second one, so I've finally watched that. Really love the direction of the first one and the second one. Like the world building, I thought was amazing. Like in a sci-fi world, like the really interesting as well, because like the second one does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is you detach. Like halfway through, you're like, the whole first film is all about like Paul. You got to save Paul. We've got to, keep the family, fight the Harkonnens, and like the casting was really good. Like I know it's such a star-studded film, but everybody did their part so well. Like even Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. You're like, I like him. I like him enough that he can disappear for half the film, come back, and we're still like, yay! Like, the guy who trained Paul up and like is clearly one of his only friends.
It's like a big brother kind of role, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And not part of the royal family as well. Like, I mean, little bits like when Javier Bardem comes up and he spits on the table and they're like, what? And he's like, I offer you my body's water. And I was like, I love that kind of stuff in a sci-fi. And obviously, so much of that'll be from the book, but so many of these things get missed, when it does end up going where there was a lot of charm in it. And just like terror as well. Like the world, the grading, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw the second one in IMAX, and it was the first time being back in the IMAX since 2005.
Oh,
when I saw Fantastic Four in 2005 in the IMAX, and I hadn't been back since. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I mean, what an
that
experience!
Must have been an experience.
I forgot how this might sound silly, but I forgot how tall the screen was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just assumed it was the wall, but it's like, oh my god.
You're like ready to launch.
Yeah.
But what'd you guys think of the second one as well? Like,
loved it.
Yeah, I think I liked it better actually. I think I liked it more than the first one. Yeah.
This is why I don't know. Shouldn't worship false messiahs.
Well, and I mean, it's the message is definitely. But it did take me a little bit of time to like step back because I was like, I obviously knew where it was going with that.
Yeah.
But the direction does just shift, and suddenly you're not with Paul as much. You're not seeing as much close-ups with him. We're not seeing him wake up from his nightmares anymore. Or if we do, it's kind of like, I still got to do this kind of thing. Yeah. And Zendaya's kind of not quite sure because she's the hero of the story, really. Like in that.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Yes, I'm just loving all the memes. That's the listen, okay.
Oh my gosh, I know.
There's one video someone made where it's like from the end of the movie, and it's that because I'm not going to spoil it if people haven't seen it already, but it's something happens right at the end of the movie, and it's a close up of his character like going, and he's not quite remembered the line, and then it's just this long pause, and then, It's just so good.
That's classic. I
But
saw somebody posting, and it was somebody their dog balancing loads of things on their head. It was just that clip. He's not gonna.
yeah,
He's not gonna be.
yeah.
I mean, I kept walking
I,
around singing it as well.
it's like,
Like,
oh,
yeah.
it's like
Well, I
so
think they're
good.
singing. I think they're singing "Listen, Listen, Al Gaiba." Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
Ah,
So so even from the
okay.
beginning, the score
Yeah, yeah, they're
is
singing
that,
it.
and it's the
Nice.
Hans Zimmer thing where he's
right.
like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Also, fun detail is when they're fighting in the first film, I thought it was really cool to use bagpipes in
Right.
uh
Yes.
because
Oh,
because as well, like bagpipes were an instrument of war. Like that was in, a couple hundred years ago, if you were going to
mm,
fight in a field, it was raining, and you heard
yeah.
like that's terrifying.
Mm,
That's
Yeah.
terrifying. And so I was
that's,
like, yes, that should be absolutely in the score for
It is
going to
terrifying,
war.
actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for, because it's when, so basically I went to go see Dune 2, and then I was like, Luce, we need to
Mm.
go and see it. Because she wasn't super keen on going to see it. I was like,
Mm.
trust me, just watch the first, and let's go and see the
Mhm.
second one. And I was watching it again. I was like, oh my God, I've forgotten how good the music was, because it's House Atreides is like
Mhm.
theme, and I was looking for it on the soundtrack. It's not there.
No.
Um, but if you search for, I think it's called like the Dune, like storybook or sketchbook. It's like an album of lots and lots and lots of like demos and bits that never made it to the full soundtrack, all like mashed together. It's in a
Cool.
song called House Atreides, like
Okay.
smack bang in the middle, and it's
Okay,
just this
cool.
blasting bagpipes, and it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Um,
And
thing
just
that I
this,
loved about,
or
go on,
just
buddy, go on.
just the sound design, even like the harkening sound.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God. Yeah.
you're like,
It's so
cool.
intimidating. It's so
But
So
scary.
good.
it's so good at world building, and like you
Yeah.
see this, fascism in order.
Yeah. Well, like, look at the thing I was just going to say is the Harkonnens, like, battle stadium.
Yeah.
Is that any time that they go out into the sun, because it's this black sun
Yeah.
and it's not going to reflect color, it's then black and white. I was like,
Yeah.
that's just such,
And
such a clever.
Yeah.
it's not just black and white. They shot it in infrared,
Oh, they did. Oh,
which
Hmm.
is why it has that slightly different
mm,
quality, why it
yeah.
does feel blown out and bleached,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they're actually because of
Yeah.
the aperture, whatever they use to
Yeah.
get that. I was like, those kind of
It's
details, like
in.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know that little like corridor scene where Austin Butler's character is following Leia Seydoux,
Mm.
or it's the
Oh
other way
yeah.
around. It's that they're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
walking with each other in the corridor. Any time that one of them walks under the windows,
Uh-huh.
it then goes to that like black and white color.
Oh
So they're in
wow.
Yeah.
color, and then they go black and white, color, black and white. I
Yeah.
was like, ah, it's just clever.
It's so
It's
clever.
that's a filmmaker who is
Yeah.
loving what they're getting to do. Like
Well, one thing as well
loving,
that
because every detail's there.
it is. It's all like it's the every frame of painting kind of thing as well. But even in the story, there's so much foreshadowing through all the Dune films.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Austin Butler's character, when he gets there, and the first two people that he fights are poisoned, and the other one isn't.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
And that mirrors what ends up happening later, because the people that Paul kills are both injured. The like when he kills the Emperor is already done. And who is it? Somebody else that it's what's his name? Runs into the Harkonnen's nephew. What's his name? Um
Oh,
Josh Brolin. Oh no,
yeah.
is that in the first? No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
in
yeah,
that.
it
Yeah,
is,
it's in
yeah.
that one. And so it's the two heads of the snake.
Bernie.
Yeah. And they get taken out. No bother. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's the last one that takes the fight.
Yeah.
And it's a knife fight,
That's clever.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
nice,
That's
okay,
really
cool.
clever.
And it's like it's so simple when you think about it, and you go, but you're not thinking about that as you're watching it, but you
No.
do absorb it. And it's like,
Did you see the interview where Denis Villeneuve was basically showing these storyboards that so he's adored Dune since he was a kid, and he said it was his dream to direct a full proper big scale live action version of it of
Mm.
his own. So he drew some storyboards when he was 14 years old, where the moment where Paul rides the sandworm, and he
What?
shows the
Wow.
storyboard that he drew when he was 14, and it's shot for shot what he then put in the movie.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
how amazing must that be?
Yeah.
That's
That
cool.
you've got to fulfill your 14-year-old self's dream of how you shoot that scene, where it was that exact thing where it's like over the shoulder seeing that gigantic sandworm coming, and then the sandworm bursting through the hill and how he jumps down to it. And he said that for me was such an important scene to get because that's
Mm.
how I've always seen it.
How you
I'm
envisioned it,
like,
yeah.
that's amazing
That was a
to
great scene.
to
Yeah.
fulfill your 14-year-old self's dream. That's so good.
Uh,
I
that's so
also
cool.
I also liked how they literally just picked up as well, and carried on. You know what I mean? Because it's sometimes
Yeah.
I don't know, because a film like that is kind of world building, it can be quite. I don't know. They blend together a lot of the time, and you go,
Yeah.
okay, what one's that again? What one's that in? But I like
Yeah.
the fact that it just carries on, and it's like one big story. Obviously, it's part one, part
Yeah.
two, but there's still so much to come. You know, which
Yeah.
leaves it so open. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try catch them IMAX next time the next one
Oh,
comes out,
yeah.
however many years that is in the future. But yeah,
Like
I know. Have they got
I'm really
plans for the next one?
I don't
yeah,
know. They must do.
they're doing yes, it's been
Have they?
confirmed. So it's going to
Okay.
be Doom
Yeah.
Part 3, but
Uh-huh.
it's technically so we've got them there on our shelf. So it's
Yeah,
Dune and
yeah.
then Dune Messiah. So it's
Yeah.
Nice.
there were 3 books really that dealt with Paul.
Yeah.
But the third one, Paul's only really in it at the very, very end.
Mhm.
So, but it's what happens in Messiah that I'm like, okay, I can
Ooh.
see why he's doing this. But Dune itself is like that big, and then Messiah's like that.
Okay.
So you know, it's Messiah is what has happened after like X amount of years of Paul being the emperor now,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's
That
it's
sounds
not
really
good.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
that whole thing of he wanted to try and take down a whole empire, and then he's made an even worse one.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it. Well,
Yeah.
so one of the cool things that I've been watching about Deep Space Nine is like there's so many moments, and they even said it's the whole like leaders don't seek greatness; they have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah,
And
Wow.
it's like so there's so many characters that end up being given, you know, the command of whatever. You know, there's one of the guys gets given the command of Klingon Empire, and he's like, I have never wanted to lead. Like, I don't want it. And they're like, it's kind of why you have to. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're not looking for power. Like, because the moment that Paul starts to get power, and he's like, the moment he's shouting in that thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
here we go. Okay,
yeah,
He's coming into his own. Yeah.
this is very different. This is a very
Yeah.
this is very different from a kid who wanted to fight to prove himself. You know,
yeah.
like this is not the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
it's it, yeah, just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant filmmaking,
Mhm.
and also it's got incredible source material to bounce off because, like,
Mhm.
you know, that's amazing writing for what back in the 70s,
Oh yeah.
really.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
But then
if it-
you also look at it and go, here's a story about how somebody rose through the ranks, took over an empire, made an even worse one. It sounds a bit like a certain Skywalker,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
kind of like, interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can kind of see where it like develops and inspires other stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I've been watching Foundation as well. Have you seen?
Oh, is it good?
It's great. I really
Okay.
like it. And that's obviously Isaac Asimov, where so much Star Wars stuff came from as well. Like, you know, kind of the grandfather of sci-fi, but it did so many, not really, but um, uh, there's some really clever things that they do in that because in that show they have Empire as well, which is again where it's inspired by.
Yeah.
But Empire is a sort of generation spanning, you know, it is called the Emperor, but in the show, and I've not read the books, but apparently in the books it goes from leader to leader to leader, but to show this huge spanning time frame, Empire is played by 3 actors. There's Brother Day, Brother Dawn, and Brother Dusk. And so Brother Dawn is the young clone being trained up. Brother Day is the middle clone who rules, and Brother Dusk is the one who's consul.
Yeah.
And so it's Lee Pace as Brother Day.
Oh, yes.
He's incredible because you get to see him as well playing like different versions of the same clone.
Nice.
And so you see them going, through the generations, and it's just, yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Was that
So,
Foundation?
yeah,
Foundation.
Yeah, it's
Nice one.
plus that one, isn't it?
it's an Apple one.
Okay.
I've been
Cool.
really enjoying a lot of Apple stuff, to be
Delicious.
honest.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
they've
it's
been
it's really good. Like
they've been making
really,
good stuff.
really good.
You know what I mean?
Have you guys seen Severance?
No,
No,
that
but I
was one
have
I
heard.
do need to watch. Yeah,
I'm not gonna say a thing.
yeah,
but
yeah.
please go watch it because we could just have a whole conversation
Yeah.
just on this.
I had a
think
few
it
friends
is-
that had to stop because they were like, "It's too real."
Okay, cool.
It was outstanding. I think
Mm.
in terms of like TV, like I love Lost. Lost is always my favorite TV show.
Mhm.
But if you look at like things that are like landmark moments in TV, I think Band of Brothers was a big one because it was
Yeah.
the first kind of like 10-part epic series. I think Severance, I'm putting it on that same
Okay,
pedestal.
cool.
That landmark. It was just outstanding.
Amazing.
So
Noted. And
cannot
Apple
recommend
TV.
it enough.
Apple TV did Ted Lasso too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So good. Did you watch Shrinking as well?
Yeah.
There's so much TV that I never
So-
watch, man. There's so many good ones.
By the way,
Was that with Harrison Ford?
yes, and Jason
Yeah.
Segel.
Was it?
I really adored Shrinking. Shrinking to me was almost like the American version of Afterlife, the Ricky Gervais
Oh
show.
man, yeah.
Really?
It's honestly like, but it's made by Bill Lawrence, who made Scrubs and Ted Lasso.
Wow. Okay, cool.
And so it has a lot of that. Also, his wife was Jordan in Scrubs, and she's back, and she's just hilarious.
Amazing.
Nice. Well, those are some great recommendations. Thank you, guys. I've wrote them down on my
Yep.
phone, so I'll definitely check them
yeah.
out. I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay.
I've always been more of a film guy. I don't know if it's an attention span thing, but I'm really bad at sticking to TV shows if they're like really long. You know, I've kind of mentioned that
Yeah,
before with Grey's Anatomy. But
Yeah.
like those ones, they seem quite short too, right? They're like 20 odd episodes
Less-
and stuff. So.
10 or less, easily.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Great. So.
Easily.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I think Severance is that line. You'll blast through them.
Cool.
Honestly. So good.
Before we go, I'll let you go in 2 seconds. I have to ask Tyler about performing at the Globe. We haven't spoke about it on the show because obviously you couldn't talk about it. It wasn't released yet. And then the last time I saw you in person, I was like, oh my God, I just saw you at the... Like, well, I didn't see it, but I saw you online at the Globe. Tell us about that.
It was incredible. Like the staff that we got to work with were like, we got to work with Tess Diggin, the head of voice there is awesome because you have to learn how to use your voice in that space.
Wow.
I say this to everybody. It's basically like inside the globe is like the inside of a guitar. And so if you're playing the notes that reverberate at that frequency, then they ring. And so each of the stalls as well. So the higher balcony, in order to hit that, rather than trying to be loud, it's about actually raising your pitch, which then also doesn't damage your voice. And so I think I tell people about this, like when it's best way to do it is like in a pub or a loud place. Because if you're talking to somebody like this, it's a little bit harder to understand. But if I raise my pitch up here and nobody is actually talking in this pitch, my voice will become really clear. And so in the same capacity that at the Globe, if even if the audience is talking, what you're having to train to do is talk over helicopters because you've got, the cathedral across the water and there's constantly helicopters floating over. Or sirens or whatever. And so it's trying to choose the frequencies that those things are not using. Oh my God. I was like, what? That's amazing. And it sounds like a really abstract concept, but like anybody can do it. Like, there was one guy that I saw though, and they were doing The Tempest, guy playing Stefano, and he did not speak above probably this loud on that stage, but he knew exactly how to use his voice. Like there's some people that work at the Globe that are genuine masters of their craft, savants of sound, of all these things. And I just got kind of baptism by fire because it was CBeebies. We have 9 days to put a show together and then we do it over a weekend. And so
And it was 12th night, right?
Yeah, we did 12th night, so I got to play Malvolio. It was a sort of amalgamation of Malvolio with Aguicheek because it's for CBBS, so we weren't going to do the whole gaslighting like and torture stuff.
That's probably fair.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, saying that the what was it? The song brief for because there's a couple songs through it, and I have a song which is about my cross-gartered yellow stockings, and they said the brief for that was basically "Hey Big Spender" for kids. And I think they succeeded. It was pretty fun, but no, honestly, it was amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that was so cool. I mean, and you filmed it ages ago, right?
Last year, yeah, we did it like around about this time last year, and then
cool.
Yeah, and we performed it, and then it didn't go out on TV till Easter this year, just because of the way that programming goes and scheduling. But it was really bizarre being like, oh yeah, forgot about this. Another one of those.
Yeah, it's a landmark moment in your life. You're like, oh yeah, we did this.
You know what I mean? Honestly.
Yeah.
No, it was incredible. Like, it's total once in a lifetime opportunity. And I think I am, I mean, I don't know if I am, but I'm taking this, but I think I'm one of the first Alaskan born actors to play the Globe. Wow.
You have to take that,
take
man.
It, man. Take it.
Get that in the Instagram bio. Oh my God.
I mean,
Alaska's first Globe player.
Well, actually, so I did the Globe before with CBBS, and actually a few people from like community theater in Alaska were over for the Fringe, and they happened to be in London that week. So before we started rehearsals, I got to meet them outside, and like Wayne Mitchell, this guy who, you know, directed me one of my first shows out, you know, in community theater, and he just like comes up to me, he's like, "You have no idea how much you just upped our street cred." I was like, "What? Me? Like, me?" Because I got to talk to a bunch of these students, and they were like, "How do you end up at the Globe?" I was like, "Practice."
Well,
oh man,
I love it.
Incredible.
No, it was amazing. Honestly, I learned so much. I'm trying to share as much as I can of the things that I learned as well, because it's like it's all useful.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you for that. That's some stuff you would never think of as well. You think about, because you're right though. You try to have your voice reach the back of the room, right?
Yeah.
But it's been clever with it, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, Tess, who the head of voice, is like, she's like, it's a little bit of a controversial take, but she's like, I think projection's dead. I think projection is not. We don't project the same way. We don't have amphitheaters the same way. And even in a space like the Globe, if you can use your voice well, you shouldn't be shouting.
Yeah.
It's more honest. People need honesty right now.
Yeah. You're right, man. Well, that's such a good story, and it's also, you're so inspirational too. I love it. Alaska's first Globe performer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yay! Get that on a t-shirt. Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time as always. Every couple of months, I'll give you a shout. Come on, catch up, talk about films we've seen, Blu-rays and DVDs that we've purchased, holidays that we're going to go on, concerts we would have went to.
Hell
yeah.
Lovely.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
cool.
man,
Well,
thanks for having me.
No worries. Anytime. You're welcome anytime. And if you see anything as well, just if like, I think Greg, you did this with Civil War, you were like, that's one you should see. Please let me know. To make sure we don't miss things, because that'd be really good.
Well, I will say, actually, I just watched Barry, and if you haven't watched Barry, it's incredible.
That's right. I remember you saying. So tell us about that before we go. What is that? Something that I can also, I'll take a screenshot of so I don't forget about it.
Barry. So Bill Hader's. For those that went to drama school, it's a little bit triggering. It's about a hitman who goes to acting classes.
That sounds incredible.
And it's Bill Hader and what's his name? The Fonz. Henry Winkler is the acting teacher.
So
and it's incredible. Like it's like tonally, it just goes to places that you don't know where it's gonna go. It was so tense and so funny. Like one of the funniest things in the first episode when he's starting about how he wants to maybe do some acting, and one of the guys is like, "Oh, and Andrew Root is incredible. Who was the voice of, is it Bill in King of the Hill?" You know the guy, you know the friend who's a bit like this, the bald guy with the anyway. He's in Office Space. Yeah, my stapler. Did you see Office Space?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Anyway,
Stephen Root. Stephen Root.
Sorry, Stephen Root. He is.
Oh, he's in
incredible.
Dodgeball. He's in Dodgeball. I know exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is unreal in this show. Like, honestly, like after watching him in Barry, I'm like, I think he might be one of my favorite actors. Like,
wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
High praise.
Barry. Where would one find Barry?
It's HBO. So
it looks like Prime.
That
you may have to pay for. I don't know.
I did. Yeah, I did have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I know.
See, with Amazon now, you'll pay for it and you'll still have adverts.
That's true. That's true. Also, Netflix did their first ever live stream last night. Did you see that? It was the roast of Tom Brady last night. It was absolutely awful, but it was the first ever live programming on Netflix, and they're going to be doing lots of like they're going to be doing boxing. It's Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is going to be streamed live on Netflix.
This is all just cyclical. This is literally going back to TV. Like we're literally just paying a TV license to watch TV again.
Yeah.
Because they've worked out now that they've got the market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a whole other deep dive, but they know that they've got the market. People aren't really watching terrestrial as much.
No, man.
So they're like, cool, we've got it. We can start doing whatever we want because they miss out. They can't miss our content. So you know what I mean? It's
monopolies.
And it's like back in the day when like all the channels were battling for what show. It's now all the streaming services. They're all putting out so much good stuff at the same time. You know, so I mean, it's great for us. There's loads of content, and again, it's like complaining about the death of physical media. I hate complaining about it because it's amazing we have all these streaming services. It's amazing how easy stuff is just to go and watch and find. But then you miss the kind of the physical aspect of it. But there's obviously positives and negatives about it all. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all down the road.